What's up, my pilots? Vloggy Poncho here, and today is February 9th, 2024. The habit tracker is looking decent. Things have gotten a little bit better in the last few days. Kind of an up and down month so far. Busy at work this week, so that's where I've been all week. I got two things I want to do today. First, I want to do the connections because I've been really enjoying that lately. And second, I have an image that tasks us with discovering, or rather, identifying what we would bring with us on a deserted island. Which is a fun little thought experiment. All right, let's see what we got here. Fire, water, air. Nope. I see buttons on a remote control, maybe? Or on... could be a few things here, because picture-in-picture, perhaps. Picture, screen, show, curtain. Things at the front of the theater. I think stop, skip, rewind, and shuffle are like buttons on a Walkman or something like that. Music player, yeah. I guess there wouldn't be shuffle on a Walkman, would there? Or skip. On an 8-track tape, you could skip to the next track just by hitting the next button, but I don't think on a Walkman you could do that. It was pretty much linear playback. Let's see here. Eon. That's interesting. I like things in the front of a theater. Perhaps. Let's look at other categories here. Card? I'm thinking playing card. Card as in ID. I don't know about the rest of these. Net. Bath. Tow. Ether. Air. Run. And Eon. This could be things that... I was going to say, like, you could run a bath or have, like, a shower curtain. Don't really see those as going together. Let's try things in the front of a theater. No, not even one off. We're on the wrong track there. So, where do the rest of these go? Screen. Types of doors, perhaps? You have a screen door. You could have I guess not really a curtain's not really a door. It's more like a bead door, maybe. Bath door, show card door, picture door. No, not types of doors. Picture, maybe things with frames, perhaps. Picture frame, card frame, magic. No. Ether, Eon, curtain. No. Could be things with holes. A net. A screen. I wouldn't really say air has holes. Air is holes. I'm not seeing much in this one. I'm not even getting... Other than like my theater idea, I don't know what else I'm even looking at here. Let's give it a little shuffle here, huh? Tow. Tow truck. I don't see any other types of trucks here. Tow boat, perhaps? Or like a tugboat? I don't think you really would say tow boat. It's a tugboat. I'm not seeing anything here. How strange. Toe and show, rhyme. We had a category that was just rhymes once. And then the other words rhyme. Ether. See, ether... I can see ether and air being put together because ether is the term, it's used for a lot of things, but what comes to mind for me is before germ theory was well understood, people literally thought that like stuff came out of the ether and it was this thing you couldn't see in the air, and that was where like the maggots and rotting meat would come from. Really, it was flies laying eggs, and germs would make things go bad, and a million other scientific explanations that we have now. But I could see ether and air is a category of like things you can't see, but the rest of it doesn't really fit. Well, there's maybe it's the things you can take. You can take a bath, take a picture, take a run, I guess. Take a card. I don't know about that. Take a bow. I wish this was bow. Take a net, take an air, take an eon. Like a long time, take an eon? I don't think so. I don't like this. This is a sketchy category. Things you take. I don't know about that. So strange. It's weird when we hit one of these where it's like I can't find any categories. We got the most straightforward and the rest are just a mess. Alright, let's try these. Things you take. Not even one off. So again, we're way off. I'm just not seeing anything here. Maybe I got to think about the words themselves. That's gotten me a couple times. Although usually the second category is pretty straightforward. You just say all the words out loud and see if anything comes to me. So run, ether, air, eon, net, toe, show, picture, bath, curtain, card, and screen. Okay, so carding and screening could be kind of similar, but none of the others give me that impression. Maybe, I guess you could, airing something it could also mean like revealing it, so it could mean show. None of the others really. No. Eon. What the hell is going on with this connections today? This is a tough one. I'll tell you what, let's move on to the next thing. We'll come back to the connections afterward. So I got an image here. I'm actually going to open it up in Paint. You're stranded on a deserted island. You can choose 4 of the following. So assumptions. It's currently February. The island is in the Caribbean. And you were stranded by, I don't know. Maybe you fell overboard on a cruise ship. Let's just say that. So you're somewhere within like charted waters, but you're on an island that, as far as you can tell, is uninhabited. Which of the 4 things are you going to take with you? There's some that you can mark off right away, I think. 5 ounces of weed. No thanks. I'm going to be in a good clear mindset here. As tempting as it is to recreate the scene from Castaway, I will not be picking the volleyball. Vitamins, also. If we're here long enough that like scurvy becomes a problem, we're not getting rescued at all. So the rest of these, I think you could make an argument for them being reasonable. iPod is probably the weakest because it's purely entertainment and it's going to die really quick. You can't recharge it. Okay, so let's see. When it comes to wilderness survival, and I'm a minor authority on this. I used to teach a wilderness survival course when I was a Boy Scout, so I taught it for 4 years at a summer camp, and never had a scout fail the test at the end. So everybody learned their shit, and I actually conducted it in a kind of a. I was kind of tough. I was kind of a tough teacher, but I told the story before when I went on the course, but maybe I'll recall it someday and retell it. So most everything here you can make an argument for, but the biggest things when you're stranded or lost is you've got to address your immediate dangers. So if you're lost somewhere where it's cold, you've got to find shelter ASAP because it's going to get colder when night falls and you will die of hypothermia the first night if you don't have some kind of way to protect yourself from the elements. And it can be as simple as like a fallen over tree that's created like a hole that you can crawl into. Like that might be enough. You pile up leaves and branches at the front to try and keep the wind out. Stay in there, keep your hands inside your clothes, put your hood up, breathe into the inside of your jacket to try and retain warmth, and try not to freeze to death. I think in this situation, we're not as worried about that because it's even in February, it's going to be 75 degrees at night on this island. So we don't need a shelter to avoid hypothermia. Presumably, this island has like jungly type forestation, thick brush, and that kind of thing. So we're also not going to be in much danger of getting sun sick, getting too much exposure because there'll be a lot of coverage there. But even then, we would want to have our head covered and keep our skin protected. At the same time, I don't think sunscreen is worth taking because although it would prevent a sunburn, uh, it's kind of a luxury. Like you might have to get a little sunburned working out there. Ideally, you're going to be conserving your water to the point where you're not working in the sun that much. So if you need sunscreen, you're probably doing something wrong. So what's our immediate concern? And I think for a hot climate, your first concern is water. Whether you're in like the plains, the desert, or on a deserted island, like a hot island like this, your first concern is water because you're going to be sweating out there. And if you get dehydrated, that's going to kill you faster than anything else out there. I mean, unless you get bit by a shark or something. But presuming you're not being attacked by sharks, dehydration will be your biggest threat. So water purifier is a decent pick, but here's the problem: a water purifier is not going to make drinkable water out of the ocean. So you've got to find a way to make purified water, clean water, and there's two ways you can do that. If you're lucky, you can just find some running water. If you can find a creek, a stream, a spring, anything like that, or if you can collect rainwater. February is part of the dry season. You really get more rain in the summer to fall. But if it rains, well, we can turn our tarp into a gigantic water bottle and catch as much rain as possible. So that's an option. Assuming we're lucky enough to have a water source that we can just drink from. In a survival situation, if it's running water, like a stream or a creek, and it looks relatively clean, you're probably fine just to drink it. You can just drink it. The risks are you get an intestinal issue and you become dehydrated as a result of vomiting and diarrhea. But then you kind of have to go the secondary route, which is distillation. So what you'll do is essentially, and it's complicated. Basically, That would be you'd have to bring the pot and probably the tarp because you would need to basically boil water and collect the steam and have that condensation be the drinking water that you actually enjoy. So maybe that's a requirement. But I'm going to go off the assumption you can just probably find fresh water on a deserted island. It's not uncommon. I'm going to mark off insect repellent. That's a luxury. Fishing rod, not super helpful, most likely. You would need to acquire bait first thing, which maybe you could find some bugs or worms or something. But I think your efforts would be better spent elsewhere. Okay, so if you're in a position where, if I was in a position where I'm near to like a shipping lane, or if I fell overboard and like washed ashore, on like a boat trip or something, I already know I'm pretty close to uh, people who might rescue me. So in that situation, things that draw in the attention of people is going to be what I want. So I'm going to want something like the flare gun, the mirror, or the flashlight. And all three of these are signaling devices. The flare gun, obviously, if you see a ship in the distance, you fire off 3 flares. And that's 3 of anything is universal signal for distress. So if you had the flashlight and you saw a ship going by at night, you would blink it 3 times. Blink, 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 blink. You don't even have to do long and short SOS. Just groups of 3 is the International Maritime Signal for Distress. So if it's just 3 blinks, 3 blinks, 3 blinks, that's already an SOS. With the mirror, you can do it during the daytime and shine the reflection of the sun at whoever you're trying to signal. And it's kind of hard to do. So the way that you actually do it is you hold up a mirror, and it works if you have like a little compact mirror too. It doesn't need to be a big mirror. First, it's really funny to imagine you have like this full like makeup mirror in a survival situation. Most of the time, if you have a mirror, it's like the polished bottom of a soda can or like a little compact from like another person's purse that washed up with you. Anyway, the way you do it is you find the sun, you try and stand in a position where you can see where the sun is and where your target is, and you get your mirror out and try to guesstimate what angle you need to be in order to reflect that light. And then you put your hand out. Sometimes you can just do 2 fingers. You put your hand out and you line up the mirror, your eye, and your hand. So you look between your fingers at the target of your mirror. So if there's like a ship passing by, let's say, or a plane flying overhead, you look through your fingers at that, and then you shine the glare from the sun from one finger to the other. So you'll watch it shine back and forth like that. And what that does is, for someone that's in between your vision there, they're going to get a blink as the glare goes past them over and over. So they'll see like a flashing glint out of the corner of their eye, and it draws attention. Repeated patterns, blinking, and brightness all draw the human attention. And so that's how you're going to get rescued. So if the plan is to get rescued straight away, pick one of those 3. Start signaling people. Toilet paper, obviously a luxury. So I think rope would be nice. Hammock, not so much. I think for keeping out of the rain, a tent might be a fine pick. You should already have a knife on you. If you're injured, obviously the first aid kit is a pick because you don't want to get infected basically and die before someone could find you. Because if infection sets in without medication or the way to clean the wound, you can die in a matter of days. If it's a really bad one, especially if it goes into a joint or something, you end up feverish and septic, and by that point you can't take care of yourself. Well, if you have to collect rainwater, the tarp is the way to go. And then you need something to signal with. I would go with the mirror because with the flare gun, oh my God, can you imagine running out of flares and not like being able to signal? And signaling at night with the flare gun or the flashlight, just build a big fire on the beach. Like, always keep a fire going on the beach and have a supply of dry wood next to it. So anytime you think you hear a plane or a helicopter, or you think you see a ship at night, you just pile that wood on and immediately make a big flame. That's a signal enough already. They can see that in the distance. You don't need to be blinking a flashlight. But for signaling during the day, sure, you can try and spell SOS with like big wooden letters or something on the with driftwood. But the mirror is going to signal things that are really far away, and you can actually blink at them. Yeah, so I'm going to mark these. Mark these. You don't want the inflatable raft. You're not going to raft yourself back to safety. That's something you start thinking about when you've been stranded for like a year and no one's found you. Like, at that point, you realize, like, oh, I'm not on a shipping lane. I have to leave this place in order to get rescued. Handsaw would be useful, but you can definitely get by without it. Boots would be amazing, but again, also a luxury. Honestly, I would probably end up cannibalizing them for their laces and using like something else to like strap them onto my feet. Hammock, not super useful. Compass, useless, totally useless. If you're navigating during the day, you can use the position of the sun. If you're navigating at night, you can use the stars. You don't need a compass to sail the open sea. At least if you're in like a rescue situation. Rope, useful, but you can replace it. Hunting rifle, hilariously useless, unless you're trying to shoot at the people trying to rescue you. Like, going out hunting for boar is not the move. Knife is questionable. If you were thinking you're gonna be stranded for a long time, knife might be a take. Pot is a take if you have to purify water. And matches, you can do without. It's hard to make a fire with friction, but you can do it. It's possible. So clearly I've circled 6 things. What do I mark off if I have to cut stuff? Well, if I don't need to collect rainwater or boil up seawater, I don't need the tarp or the pot. In theory, I don't need the tent. It's a luxury. I can build a shelter. So I probably want, signaling device, way to gather rainwater, first aid kit. It really depends on the situation. Like, if you've got an injury that you incurred during your stranding, then it may be what keeps you alive. Especially like just simple antibiotic like wipes, just disinfecting the wound could prevent a lot of stuff. So that's a question mark. The mirror is probably the one you'd end up having to cut. I mean, if you had to distill water, you're probably just going to die anyway, because in order to do that, you'd have to get a fire going, you'd have to construct the distillation setup, and then you'd have to collect enough water to keep yourself going. And that's just like really not easy. Granted, boiling the water is a good way to purify it anyway. So there's my picks. What I would take on a stranded deserted island: knife, first aid kit, mirror, and tarp. It would be a totally different set of things if it was cold weather, which sleeping bag would be number 1 because it would keep you alive that first night. All right, let's get back to here. Leave a comment. Tell me what 4 things you'd bring. I'll pull the sheet up again so you can take a moment, type them out. And anybody who says 5 ounces of weed is getting banned. Unless you're stranded at a resort, you're not going to be able to use weed to get yourself passage home. All right, let's see. Run and air are both things that shows do, like on television, like a rerun. Curtain, net, both like fabric materials. A run could be a tear. Let's give him a shuffle. Okay, maybe big things. The big picture. The big screen. Big... The Big Show? I don't see big anything else. Big net? No. Maybe it's like things you'd see at a basketball game, like the net. Maybe there's a big screen. The rest doesn't really work. What a weird net connections. It's rare for me to find the easy category and then get totally stumped. Let's ponder it together. Oh, things you draw. Things you draw. Draw a bath. Draw a curtain. Draw a picture. Draw a card. All right. That's the third one, so there should be a relatively straightforward one left. That's a tough one to spot out of those 12. Because I already had things you can take and decided that that wasn't good enough. All right, so what do we have left here? Kinds of trucks? Tow truck? No. An eon is just a really long period of time. So, like, what the hell is that's got to do with any of the rest of this? All right, run, show, screen, and air are all things that can be done with, like, a program. Like, a program is being run on this channel. It's being shown at this theater. It's being screened here. It's being aired. Broadcast. That's the word. Things that a show does. And what is this last category? Tow, net, eon, ether. Oh, this is bad. This better not be one of those things that are missing one letter. Do these become words when you add an N? Town, neon, nether? No, it needs an I. And then net? No. Nent? Nent? No. It's nothing to do with noble gases, because I saw neon. No. Tow, net, eon, and ether. I'll give myself one more minute to figure it out. They're all anagrams for numbers. 1, 2, 10, and 3. Holy shit. That is insane. What the fuck, man? Sheesh. That's really hard. Oh my god. Well, I'm proud of myself for getting that one. I'm glad we stuck in it. I hope y'all stuck around to the end. Post banana in the comments. Say you'd bring a 4 things plus a banana to the island, and I'll know you stayed for the whole video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.